Hi, it's TariToys. In this video, I will explain two methods of casting on stitches: the classic method, also known as the long tail, and a method that allows you to create an edge with easily openable stitches. Both of these methods are widely used in TariToys patterns. Let's start with the classic method. The essence of this method is that we will not cast on stitches from the end of the yarn, but by creating a reserve, a tail. There are many techniques that allow you to determine the length of this reserve with more or less accuracy. The most reliable, in my opinion, before casting on stitches, wrap the needle with thread as many times as you need to cast on stitches. This method takes into account everything: the number of stitches, the thickness of the yarn, and the size of the needles. Suppose you need to cast on 80 stitches. To measure the required length of the tail, you can wrap the knitting needle with thread 80 times. Or you can wrap the knitting needle with thread 20 times and use this segment of yarn folded for times. But for simplicity, let's assume we need to cast on only 20 stitches. Wrap the yarn around the needle 20 times. After we have determined the length of the tail, we need to create the first stitch. There are many methods for this as well. The simplest and most versatile, in my opinion, is the following. Place the tail closer to you. Create a loop with a bend at the point where the tail transitions into the main part. Insert the thumb and index finger of your left hand into this loop and spread the ends of the yarn forming the loop. Then insert the needle into this loop from bottom to top and make a circular motion, twisting the loop once. My grandmother taught me this method many years ago, and I use it everywhere. Now I'll show you another method. This method forms the first stitch with a knot. Measure the expected length of the tail, and in this area, place the yarn away from you over your left index finger with the tail towards you, and wrap the yarn around your index finger once. Then insert the needle under the yarn on your index finger, grab the free part of the yarn, and pull it under the yarn on your index finger. Tighten the resulting knot so that the first stitch tightly wraps around the needle. Now, using your thumb and index finger, continue casting on stitches. Raise your left thumb up and insert the needle under the yarn in front of your thumb. Continue the needle movement over the yarn behind your left thumb. Grab the yarn lying on your index finger and pull it towards you, between the yarns wrapping around your thumb. Repeat this motion the required number of times to form the desired number of stitches on the needle. Now let's compare what the first stitch looks like in the first method and what it looks like in the second method. Let's look at another cast-on method using waste yarn. This method allows you to easily and gradually open the stitches of the first row later. The waste thread is closer to you, the main thread is further. The algorithm is the same as for long tail cast-on. The tail needed is minimal, unless the yarn will be used later for continuing the knitting. There's no need to create the first stitch separately. Place the main yarn on your left index finger and the waste yarn on your left thumb. Hold the tails between the fingers not holding the needle and your right palm, and hold the working parts of the main and waste yarns between the free fingers and the palm of your left hand. Raise your left thumb up and insert the needle under the waste yarn in front of your thumb. Continue the needle movement over the yarn behind your left thumb. Grab the yarn lying on your index finger and pull it towards you, between the yarns wrapping around your thumb. Repeat this motion the required number of times to form the desired number of stitches on the needle. Now, let's talk about the purpose of the waste yarn. This method allows you to easily pick up the stitches of the first row onto the needles. Find the beginning of the first row and insert the needle into the first stitch of the first row through which the waste yarn passes. Release this stitch from the waste yarn by pulling it out with an additional needle or a tapestry needle. Repeat these movements until the waste yarn is completely removed. Insert the needle into the next stitch of the first row, release it from the waste yarn, and so on. Now, you can use this edge with live stitches for creating knitted seams, ribbing, lengthening the piece, and other purposes. For more information about casting on stitches and other knitting techniques, visit TariToys.com. You can also find handmade toys and their patterns on TariToys.com. Enjoy your knitting!